Inland Sports.
On the Inland Sports shows begin to ramp up for the high school football season is the head coach of your San Jacinto Tigers, Aric Galliano. And coach, man, listen, you always have great schedules, but specifically this year, I'm starting to build this master schedule for all the teams in the Inland Sports Show coverage area week by week. Man, I got to your schedule and I'm like, holy smokes, like what a great schedule. Beaumont, King, Cajon, Aquinas, Rancho Verde, and Yorba Linda. 6 non-league games, man. How excited are you just about to find, about the competition and just the challenges that you guys will see in non-league play to kind of hopefully get you ready for a deep playoff run?
Absolutely. Like that's since I've been here, I've been trying to up it every year. And, the kids with how we performed last year, making it Division II, I had to step it up a little bit more to try to get us prepared for that type of competition. The kids are excited. They've been working their butts off all off season. So, we're super excited to get rolling.
How much does that factor into when you build a schedule in terms of thinking of what division you are going to be for the playoffs? Or does that really, I don't know if it maybe isn't a factor even at this point. It's the middle of June and we're talking about this.
No, I was thinking about it back in January when we're trying to find opponents. Trying to find some local teams if we can that are going to prepare us. Anywhere, we fluctuate anywhere from 2 to 4 in divisions. And so seeing how previous teams have done, doing research on them and, trying to find if it's a good matchup for both games. Cause, I got to play a tough non-league in order to prepare us for the playoffs. And so, that's how I've been doing it for the last couple of years.
All right, so you guys won a CIF championship in 2022. You've had some really good teams, some really good players. Is it more difficult or easier to find your non-league opponents now?
I think it's a lot tougher. Trying to play a lot of local schools, and a lot of them say no. There's a handful of them that are out there. I'm trying to schedule Centennial. I don't think we're at that level yet. The Merida Valleys, those types of teams. But playing the mid tier, I think I'm a mid tier player, or not mid tier player, but a mid tier program where we can play the middle of that Big West upper. Playing anybody in that Big West lower, than anybody in Riverside that can give us good competition to try to prepare us.
Well, I know Matt Logan really struggles finding teams, so if you ever want Centennial, they'd probably get you on the schedule. But with that said, when we do our, Boost Top 25, when we rank the top 25 teams in our area, I would say, Aquinas, Cajon, Rancho Verde, definitely Beaumont, and King, they're probably all inside the top 12, I would say. So at least, Yorba Linda's obviously really good too, but at least when you talk about those other local teams, it's not like you went out and found some school that we've never heard of. You're playing some really, really good teams. So is that easy to get your team excited and fired up knowing that you're going to have such an awesome schedule coming up?
Yeah, and it's, in order to be one of the top teams in Riverside County, we got to play those teams. And so, we strive, we push hard in the non-league to try to get us ready for that playoff, because that's what it's ultimately about, is that end of the season, staying healthy, playing competitive games. And getting us the best look possible in order for us to try to make that run.
All right, Coach Galliano, you guys always have weapons on offense. I'm assuming Ransom and Davis are going to be back for you guys. But who's quarterbacking the Tigers this season?
We have a transfer in from Merida Mesa that came in, Josue Estrada. He played varsity with them last year in some JV. Has done a real good job this offseason, commanding the huddle. Those are real catchable ball, good leader. So all the aspects that we look at as our quarterback, waiting to see, we've always had some type of runner there. So we'll see what type of footwork he has and how fast he is. But, we'll develop what we have to his strengths offensively. And, he has the speed around him, which he's told us is a lot different from where he was at with Mesa with the speed that we have. So it's just him getting used to the timing aspect in the passing game, and the running game is what it is.
Well, Coach, obviously you don't hang banners for, 7-on-7, tournaments or whatever, but is this an important time of the year, doing, passing leagues against other schools or tournaments just for the sake of having a new quarterback and making sure that these guys are, on the same page?
Yeah, we did a bunch in the spring, and then we ended, 2 weeks ago at San Diego State. So I have one more, mid-July. It's because it's a pretty young group. I only got like 15 seniors, a lot of young kids. It's about building us our program and getting kids to understand what we do and how we do things. That's what we're trying to focus on this summer, getting our kids ready to go.
Refresh my memory. I can't believe I'm forgetting this, but in 2022, you guys were Division 6 champions. Was that correct?
Yes, sir. Yep, Division 6, 3A regional, and then lost in the finals or the state championship to Grant by 2.
The Grant Pacers from Sacramento. Yeah. So, Coach, going Division 2 last season, when you took over the program, did you want to gradually get there? Like, hey, nothing wrong with the Division 6 championship. It'd be pretty nice though to win a Division 2 or maybe even compete in Division 1 one day. I mean, what was your kind of the goals for the program?
And my goal ultimately when taking over is try to leave it better than when I got it. Coach Powell did a great job, and I'm not saying he didn't do a bad job, but anytime a coach takes over a new program, their goal is to try to improve the program. I think we've done that with academics, in the classroom, getting kids out on scholarship, winning the CIF championship. And every year we've moved up divisions. It's just a testament to the kids, their buy-in to our program, and the off-season program. It's working out for everybody, both ends. My program getting those kids out on scholarship. We're getting kids that want to come here and play. I've been playing real competitive football.
All right, well, Coach, obviously you're checking in to the Inland Sports Show from a practice or a workout or something you got going on out there at the Jack. So have you already had your dead period, and what does the next couple of weeks look like as you guys ramp up for that first game?
Yeah, we just got off a dead period. Today was our first day. Great numbers is probably the highest. My wife was driving by and she goes, "That's the highest I've seen at the first day of summer football." We're over 100 kids, over 40 freshmen. Which was awesome. We had a bunch of kids that didn't get cleared that were on the sidelines watching practice. So we're super excited to get all this thing up and running.
So from here on out, I mean, it goes right into that first game against Beaumont, right?
It goes right into that first game against Beaumont. We do things a little bit differently here. I want kids to be kids, and so we've kind of scheduled it 3 days a week. We go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for 4.5 hours. Making sure those kids get a 4-day break, rest period. Time for them to be kids. We started doing that about 2-3 years ago, and my numbers have gone up every year. The buy-in from the kids, kids coming, being on time, staying late, all those things. Not burning them out with so much football. But while we're here, those 4 hours, we're speed training, we're weight training, we're meetings, then we get out on the practice field. And we try to hold practice anywhere from an hour 30 to an hour 45. Try to keep their attention spans. And they've done a great job the last 3 to 4 years of buying into that. And, it's the same thing with this young group.
I'm sure the parents appreciate that too, having the kids,
absolutely,
home and available.
And all the wives, yeah. Coaches' wives, so, amount of time that we put in. They know Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is a busy time for us, but they know we're going to be around, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which has been good for my coaches as well.
So do you try to squeeze out a little bit more summer fun before the football season starts with your own family, or maybe even during that dead period, vacation time, or what do you do?
Absolutely. I'm actually coaching my 10-year-olds. I got 10-year-old triplets, and so I've been coaching their youth basketball team. We're actually leaving Thursday night to go play a basketball tournament in Vegas. On Fridays when we don't have practice, I take the kids out on the boat. They go wakeboarding, wake surfing, just spending a lot of time with them. The off season is my time with them, so that's why I kind of jumped in and coached their youth sports. And so being around them and having fun, they're out at my practices. My girls hang out with our trainers. My son usually jumps in with practice. It's a family affair. My wife works here, so it's awesome.
Man, so when you're not coaching, you're coaching. It's more coaching.
I can't get enough of it. Just being around them, they all love sports, and so they've grown around it since they were babies. My wife had them out here. I remember in 2015 when I took over, she just had our triplets. They're on the sidelines. with parents holding them. And so they've been around my program for the last 10 years, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
All right, Coach, last question, because I know you're busy. You got stuff going on. You open the season week 0 against Beaumont. I would say that's a rivalry. Is that a rivalry game now?
Absolutely, yeah. That's something that we've picked up since they left the Mountain Pass to go to the CBL. We've talked about it. We're trying to create that rivalry. The team down in San Jacinto East doesn't want to play anymore. So I kind of try to find a new rivalry, and so we wanted to set it up. First game of the season, and it's been a good matchup every year. We haven't got them the past couple, because Jeff does a great job up there, but it's always been competitive. That's what I look for, is those competitive games. Win or losses, we learn a lot from those losses as well, not just winning football games. And so, we've learned a lot from those games, because he just does a great job offensively. His defensive coordinator does a great job of, preparing for us. It's just great competition.
Yeah, man, some of the best games that we've had in the area, regular season and playoffs, when you guys go head-to-head. So that's August 21st, week 0, San Jacinto and Beaumont. That is Tigers head coach Aric Galliano joining us here on the Inland Sports Show. Coach, always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon, maybe on a sideline.
Absolutely, Pep. You're always welcome to San Jacinto.
Love the Jack. That's Aric Galliano here on the Inland Sports Show.
Inland Sports.